Hello, listening to the Robot Wars History podcast where we chart the development of the show and the British robot combat scene in general by looking at key teams and bots. I'm your host Luke, and with me today is Dan.
Hello.
And Beav.
Oh hey, I didn't see you guys.
And today we are covering the first half of Team Big Brother's career from Series 3 to Series 5.
So let's get this straight. I've been on Pussycat, then Razer, and now Bigger Brother. I've just done like my top 3 robots.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of here as well. Yeah, don't know why, to be honest.
You're here because you're the only person we know who likes the cluster bots, and we need you for part 2.
Okay, that's fair. So
Very valid.
I like a window
valid.
dressing for this part, you know? No, I'll chime in with a comment every now and then. I do have notes, so I have some.
Yes, we like to have consistency between our parts. We're not doing another King Bee, where like 3 other people just decide they're going to record it in the middle of the night.
That shall never be forgotten, I say.
Long before the cluster bots, Team Big Brother made their debut in, relative to success, one of the most forgettable predecessors to a more notable bot, I think, ever. Because you very rarely remember that Team Big Brother are 3-time semi-finalists, but they are, and their first semi-final run came with Big Brother.
Yeah, it's a I mean, you when you look at Big Brother, you can certainly see the lineage from it to the much more famous sequels. Like, it has the same sort of aesthetic, but definitely not close in terms of weaponry.
Yeah, it's a pure wedge bot with a articulating Morning Star mace. Imagine I'm doing air quotes there, which is pure decoration. Probably just put there to distinguish him from God knows how many lame wedge bots applied.
So I'll be honest, to my eternal shame, of course, until this morning, I of course thought that arm which the Morning Star was on, I didn't actually know that it can move.
I didn't remember that until I rewatched this. But it can move weirdly.
Ah, you fucking casuals! I remembered that.
And this debut run also saw the debut of the person who would be most central to Big Brother on the show, and I don't mean the driver and builder Ian Watts. I mean, of course, his son, Joe Watts.
Yeah, he was definitely a very big part of the team's identity.
I mean, the robot was actually named after him, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The Watts kids are easily the most, some of the most memorable people outright on the show, and I think they're great. They're wonderful, charming kids.
Yeah, they really are.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, yeah.
Watts kids.
Fuck you, all the YouTube commenters that think they're annoying.
Although, I mean, I must say, of course, something that I noticed in, of course, Series 3 only. Ian says about one thing in their entire run in this series. I mean, everything is, said by Joe. It's actually quite insane when you realise that.
It's also, especially when Joe at this point is just a bit too young to be carrying the camera by himself, but
yeah,
whatever.
They get a bit grating, but I mean, you know what? He more than made up for it later, so I really don't mind. So again, screw you, YouTube commenters. They are great.
Speaking of obscure predecessors, Big Brother's first opponent is the Grim Reaper, back when the Grim Reaper was a kind of car-shaped, car-steering rambot.
Yeah, this is a far cry from the much better one we've got in Series 7.
Yeah, and it's a strange fight because, as we said, as I said, Grim Reaper, it drives like a car, so there's a lot of barging about into each other.
It's it starts out much more fast paced than I was expecting it to.
Yeah, but casting.
But it doesn't stay that way for long.
No,
it really doesn't stay that way for long.
Yeah, car steering was never the best idea, was it? Slort kind of made it work sometimes, but aside from that, it was just like, this is why Kilohertz drove into the pit.
Well, the thing is, Big Brother's immobilized at the end, and apparently they got the win on damage and aggression. I guess they did get damage because they knocked the wheel off, but aggression, I'm not sure. I feel like I can see a Grim Reaper win here, but
Imagine if it did. I don't think I want to see that timeline.
That's not an auspicious start for a robot that's going to technically make the semi-finals.
no.
Yeah, I mean, like, it is a very, very short fight. I mean, like, it caps out at like just over a minute. Like, that's
So that's
kind of
4.
mad.
So that means there's 4 minutes of really boring action we didn't see.
I don't want to know what was in that action. I'm also
Just a
doing
lot
air
more
quotes.
barging into each other, I guess.
Place your
Yeah,
bets.
maybe
Is it as painful as the unedited Iron Ore fights from Series 4?
Nothing's that bad.
I don't know because I still like refuse to watch that.
Now, Big Brother's next fight against Chromalot. Big Brother gets a flip KO here, which shows obviously they knew what their bread and butter was early on. Something I noticed here is Big Brother's driving at this point is nothing spectacular. Ian Watts will go on to be a lot more. Will go on to have much better driving and be praised appropriately for it, but here. Yeah, it's an awkward shape with those 2 big wheels at the back of his long body, and Ian Watts is at his first time at the control, so a lot of awkward action from Big Brother here.
Well, I mean, like, this is less a flipping win, and it's like more just a wedge like overturning win. And I know that's really pedantic, but I just do want to make it back clear.
Yeah, like this is one of those many cases. I think didn't Sir Chromalot always go out in round 2?
Yeah,
Yeah, it did. Bigger Brother started the trend.
Yeah, so you know it's got some claim to fame, other than being the robot before the actual good one.
Good one.
But yeah, there's really not a lot to say about Big Brother aside from its fight with Ultor.
yeah, the fight with Ultor. It's got the fun shot of Ultor dragging Big Brother by the mace, and that mace falls off, so Ultor legitimately wins on damage.
Yeah.
Honest, you know what? That besides, I do not see any point in which, of course, like Ultor was actually on top. I genuinely don't think it should have won to begin with.
I don't know. It's weird. This fight's also just weird. It's just a fun. It's like at times Ultor, despite its shell floating off the ground, gets under Big Brother. It's a strange fight.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'd say is that Ultor gets the win if you know that damage is weighted. If you don't know that, I can see why you might think, "Oh, yeah, actually, no, this is a bit of a closer one than you might expect." But despite the fact that yes, Ultor does get the win here, they didn't book enough room in the hotel and had to go home.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you still get arguments these days of it. About damage being weighed. I mean, how many times in the last series of BattleBots did we have fights decided because, I don't know, one bot knocked off a panel or something and the other one didn't do anything?
With
yeah.
BattleBots, it's more. This robot was clearly losing the fight, but its main weapon
It technically
at
won
the end of
them.
the fight, so it gets to win.
Yeah, Ultor didn't book the time off work. Not the greatest way to go out of
How
your
hard do you
robot
think
was
they would just
amended.
how hard do you think they were just, of course, like angry at themselves after they realised they just basically knocked themselves out? Because I would have been absolutely seething, behind closed doors.
I probably would not have been happy, but then at the same time, I don't know. I got to go on Robot Wars and leave undefeated, so hey.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, joining such prestigious bots as Anvil.
Hell
No,
yeah.
no, Anvil
I mean,
hadn't
they
yet.
never.
Joining such prestigious bots as none of as Panic Attack. There we go.
Panic Attack didn't leave undefeated.
Yeah, well,
But it did at the
had at
time.
this point. They hadn't been out yet.
Well, they can't have been that. They can't have been that annoyed with themselves because I don't think they ever applied to appear on Robot Wars again.
Yeah, so
Yeah, as far as we know, this and the fucking Game Boy Color game are their only appearances.
What a contribution!
like there we go. They got immortalized in that fashion instead.
Well, it wouldn't have made much difference if they had stayed on because Big Brother's next fight was against Mace, and yeah, their luck runs out here.
Yeah. No.
Mace is too good a flipper/lifter for something like Big Brother to hold on too long.
Yeah.
There is. Oh,
No, go ahead.
okay, yeah, like I was just gonna say it. There is a very strange moment in this fight where, of course, like a Mace 2, of course, like drives onto the pit, and for some reason, there is a like a cartoon. There's a cartoon. There is a cartoon. Like a boing, like a sound effect, and like, why was that put there? Like, I mean, like, wasn't there to just bored? Like,
Yeah, they got tired of pressing the two buttons that had like pit and
crouch.
razor.
I thought just put in like a cartoon boing sound instead. Okay, but it's genuinely so weird.
I think it says a lot that that's the most interesting thing there is to say about this, right?
Yeah, it's a typical. It's a typical like a flipper beats like a robot without a history mech fight that you see in these early series.
Yeah, the Mace 2 is made of ground clearance, but it's not enough for Bigger Brother to really take advantage of that. And yeah, I think we've milked Big Brother for about as much content as we can get out of it, and now let's just talk about the proper one.
Yeah, let's. They learned the lessons from Mace and Chaos 2 and adopt a flipper, but maybe they took specific lessons from Mace because it's a very curious fin shape for a flipper that they will retain throughout their career.
Yeah, like later on they stick a sort of plow on the end of it, but they do have this rather slim flipper arm throughout most of the robot's existence.
Yeah, I mean, like Series 4 Bigger Brother, like it's definitely a like evolution. I mean, like no, I think they took some of the like right lessons, but I mean, like at the same time, they like did weird things such as the like top of the flipper is spikes or something.
Yeah, those spikes seem way too prominent on the Series 4 one.
Yeah, the spikes, I guess, they give it a certain look, and I suppose they stop robots just driving over the top of it. But it certainly does. It's not a flipper arm that has a lot of range to it in terms of like how far it fires. It just sort of pops up a bit. It's
Yeah.
enough. I suppose the other purpose those
Yeah.
spikes serve is that they, in theory, allow it to self-right more easily. In theory. But
Yeah, they got themselves the number 14 seed, which is, I think, the lowest of all the semi-final. Yeah, it's the lowest of all the semi-finalists.
I think that's fair because
Yeah,
it
they should.
there because the other guys couldn't be there. So
Yeah. In the melee, in contrast to the other melee, which is a bit of a melee of death, they've got it way easier. They've got Claude Hopper and Hammer and Tong, which they could. If this was a 2v1, Big Brother would win.
I'm surprised that, of course. Oh man. I mean, like, I'm surprised that, of course, Claw Topper, of course, it wasn't put up. That, of course, like a Claw Topper was like put up against like a Chaos 2 or or like a really big cheese, because like that seems like the exact kind of robot that like, you want to put up against a flipper. Like surely, like to make a big show of them flipping over such a heavy walker,
Yeah, maybe.
but they put it against bigger brother.
Yeah, like I mean, Claude Hopper is. It does not take too long for it to end up on its roof.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know it takes them multiple attempts to get him over.
Yeah, but it still is not a arduous process once they actually do manage to get it.
And it is very like satisfying when they do. To be fair.
Yeah, you've got this very heavy robot that doesn't move very quickly, and then you've got this massively wide thing that is somehow slower than Claude Hopper.
Oh,
Yeah, Big
Brother
Brother can't. Yeah, Big Brother does not get Hammer and Tongue over, which makes sense because Hammer and Tongue is gigantic. It's like twice the size of Big Brother, probably.
Yeah, and it means that you spend a lot of time sitting there and wondering why one of these machines wasn't put in the other melee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that.
It means
That melee's one.
yeah, but it means
That melee's great.
You
You
know,
don't want to cheap it. You don't want to dilute that by putting Hammer and Tongue in there.
I do want Spikosaurus to get further though.
Nah, because that makes it funnier when they beat Dominator 2.
Fair, yeah, you've got a point there.
Then Big Brother fights Bulldog Breed, and they have themselves an oopsie because the first time they fired a flipper, they are just leaking gas all over the place.
Yeah, this was depressingly quick.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think I. Go on.
No, it's not often that you can say that Bulldog Breed 2 is the better machine out of it and another flipper, but this is one of those rare cases where that is true.
Yeah, I feel like even if Big Brother wasn't leaking, Bulldog Breed would probably still get the win because Bulldog Breed is 2 is very. It's very wide base. It's quite low to the ground. I don't think Big Brother's got the range to get that thing over.
No, not the Series 4 one.
No, whereas Big Brother, it's a very compact shape. So yeah, I think in an extended fight without the gas leak, Bulldog Breed still winning that.
Yeah, and this is like the best Bulldog Breed gets until Extreme 2, because what's he got to look forward to in Series 5 and 6? He's just getting it's
Hypno-Disc twice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And even here, obviously, it goes on to get the shit beaten out of it by Stinger. So, Bigger Brother wouldn't have gone any further if it had won this fight. But yeah,
Yeah. So
this was a point
Bigger
that
Brother
made me as a child very sad because I immediately liked Bigger Brother because there was a kid about my age on the team, and then yeah, it just got it was not a very good robot, but
lost a budget chaos too.
it lost the budget chaos too. But then when I was when I was a kid, I legitimately thought that Plunderbird 4 was a good machine. So hey.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of...
Oh, what a segue!
Thank you. That was intentional.
Yeah, Big Brother enters the
talking
tag
to
team terror with Plunderbird 4, and there's of the 3 tag team terrors in Robot Wars, Extreme 2 is like the good one, Extreme 1 is the really bad one, and then Series 4 is the what is going on one.
And that's exactly why we like it.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, the chaos is definitely a lot more fun to watch than just robots not working.
Yeah, like
yeah,
Though then, like a lot of things are more fun to watch than robots not working.
yeah, like I said it in Razer Part 2. This is exactly what Robot Wars tag teams should be like. Everything just goes wrong and nobody follows the rules.
Yeah, Big Brother enter with Plunderbird 4 on their side, and Plunderbird 4 basically does nothing for the entire competition. The first fight is with Firestorm and Scorpion, so it's Big Brother versus Firestorm basically, because Scorpion is complete dead weight.
Yeah,
And
this is we Firestorm 2 entered, so we gave them Scorpion to nerf them.
yeah, and then, but the thing is, even then, barely anything happens in this fight because Bigger Brother and Firestorm never really focus on each other. It's like because Scorpion is constantly in the way, and even when it is Bigger Brother and Firestorm, they're mostly just kind of pushing each other about.
Yeah. No, with the exception of the robots that actually win this, which is King B and 101, it seems like all three of the other teams are like one good robot and one shit robot.
Which, like,
Yeah,
to
and
be
that ends
fair,
up
it's a
losing
fairly interesting idea.
Yeah,
But...
yeah, and
Well,
the
that ends up losing out
punchline
to
is that in
two
the end it's
mid-tiers.
Firestorm that conks out in the final, while Scorpion goes marginally further.
Which is a beautiful punchline, I must say.
It is,
Yeah,
yeah. Like it's this really that settles Firestorm 2 as the shit one of the
Firestorm and
Firestorm
Scorpion.
lineage.
Yeah.
Firestorm and Scorpion do go through because Thunderbird just breaks down, which immediately just costs them the fight. And then we get them versus Invertebrate and Exterminator, and this is a fun battle between Big Brother and Exterminator that's occasionally interrupted by Invertebrate, basically.
Yeah.
But it is a really good battle.
Yeah. Plunderbird 4 just didn't work.
No, it didn't move. Yeah, because Big Brother shows you that when it's not leaking gas all over the place, it's still a pretty good flipper because it handles Exterminator pretty easily here.
Yeah, like
although
the
props to
series,
Exterminate.
yeah, the Series 4 Exterminator is probably also the weak link of its line. In comparison.
No, I'd say it's Series 5 and Extreme 1.
Yeah, fair. But it's still not an amazing machine compared to
It's
what
fine.
incarnations
It's
are capable of. But yeah,
it's better than its Series 3 version as well.
yeah, but relative to the competition, you know,
Well, yeah, even relatively.
not sure I agree there. But
It's self-right.
but this isn't the
self-right is then
Exterminator
exploded.
podcast, so we'll get to that in Series 7.
2025.
So we're in about 5 years, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, props to Exterminator for having a good tree mech that isn't dependent on a flipper.
Yeah. That's fair. Its stream worked sometimes. So yeah. It's yeah, it's actually Exterminator that goes first in this fight, and then Bigger Brother just has to finish off Invertebrate.
Which is very easy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like I could, of course, like finish with Invertebrate with like my like bare hands. So you know.
Yeah, probably. But then
Yeah, finish.
yeah, so it finished third place overall. So and then it gets utterly robbed in the pinball. Hello?
Oh, thank God. Right. So, how is it? I get robbed in the pinball.
Okay, well,
You know, tell us that.
here's the thing, right? This is what kind of one of the first looks we see at how good Ian Watts is at driving this thing, and it certainly helps that Bigger Brother is better shaped and has wheels and its wheels at a good place compared to right at the back of the fucking thing, and it would have finished overall joint top had it not missed the 75-point target.
God damn.
And that's joint top with Gemini.
The robot that could literally be in 2 places at once. Yeah.
Yeah, who should not have been fucking allowed to enter the cocking thing because it could be in 2 places at once.
Imagine like a Gemini, of course, like in the like a sumo. Like what would that have been like?
just shoves both of them out. Like it's like look up Series 4 Heat Final Gemini versus Tornado.
Oh, that's yeah, that's fair. Speaking of the like sumo, of course, that was also entered, and of course, I guess like this is one where, of course, in which of course a shunt thought that it was just gonna go straight for Bigger Brother this time and not play around.
Yeah, it gets swept out in less than 7 seconds. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So Series 4, it tried a lot, it didn't really succeed in much though.
Yeah, this version of Bigger Brothers only achievement that's really worth noting is it defeating Mauler on BattleBots.
Yeah.
Technically, it was just the other robot in the arena when Mauler did what Mauler does and flipped itself over. But hey, it's that is a fight that goes on to have an influence on Bigger Brother's future triumphs, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yes,
but first... Oh, no, sorry, what was that?
The weight increase brings the new model for Bigger Brother, where it basically settles into the Bigger Brother we all know and love. And yeah, we see the debut of this new model. We see the debut of Ellie Watts. And yeah, Big Brother enters into Extreme 1. But if you were just watching Extreme 1, you'd think it'd take some time to get going, because roughly half their fights in this series are after Series 5, where it got mullered. So it's a walking corpse for half of Extreme.
And we start...
Something that's interesting, though, is the tag team, which
Oh, God.
must be the only one that was filmed before Series 5, because it's actually a different model of Bigger Brother in this one.
Wait, is it really?
Well,
Yeah, if you notice, whenever this version of Bigger Brother fires its flipper, the CO2 vents out of the top corners of the robot, which the Series 5 one doesn't do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like friggin' steam coming out of Popeye's ears. It's ridiculous.
I thought it was quite cool, to be honest.
Yeah, and this is I think this is like the only fight that this version had, and you can see
Yeah.
it loses to spawn again and come and get her.
Yeah, this fight is absolutely dire. Like, not a single robot actually works in this fight. This is genuinely depressing.
I say it every episode I'm on that has a fight from the Extreme 1 Tag Team Tower, but it bears repeating. This tournament is relative to the number of fights it has, it's one of the worst tournaments the show ever had. There's like 3 working bots in the entire thing.
This tournament makes New Blood look good.
I think the final is the only one where all 4 bots are working at full health.
And it's actually quite fun.
And this I said it all the way back, I think it must have been in the Plunderbird podcast. But Plunderbird 5 is Bigger Brother's partner by default, because most of the teams that I think all the teams that returned has kept their partner from Series 4.
Yeah.
But
All 2, but yeah.
yeah. I don't remember the tournament well enough to tell if the others came back as well. But
I think it was just them and King being one of them.
Yeah, but yeah, so Plunderbird 5 manages to get itself stuck in forward drive before it even goes into the arena, which is fucking amazing from International Rec Crew. This is exactly why we love them. But because it's stuck in forward drive and has damaged the arena door, they can't fix it in time for it to go in, so they have to get replaced by a reserve. Now, for whatever reason, the people at Mentorn decided that they were going to replace Plunderbird 5 with Major Tom.
Yeah, they managed to find a worse partner than Plunderbird 5. It's very impressive.
Meanwhile, when fucking Megamorg shits the bed on the other side of this fucking tournament bracket, they turn around and invite Pussycat to take its place.
I do want to say, of course, of course, in the in the in the interviews, of course, like right before this happens, of course, like you like have like both these teams are like, of course, are like rapping away, of course, like, you know, going on about how they're gonna take out the other two. Then it's immediately cut. So of course, I like a Plunderbirds, of course, like being like taken out of the like a competition, and it is some beautiful like a contrast that really needed just like one scene just to just 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 to let it breathe a bit, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. The generally the comedy editing in Extreme One is awful, but when you get the Plunderbird guys involved, it skyrockets in terms of quality.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a gold star even.
Well, while Bigger Brother isn't this weird one-off model, they're still the only bod that puts in any effort here, because Come and Get Rix is Come and Get Rix, and Spawn Again is Spawn Again. So Bigger Brother puts in the majority of the work, even if it is very slow. And it's the only working machine at the end yet. I guess because Major Tom is counted out first. I don't know. Somehow Bigger Brother and Major Tom don't go through here.
I think we've established that the judging on this tournament was pretty shocking.
Yeah, the rules are made up and they don't matter.
Pretty much. That is just like Robot Wars summed up as a whole, really.
Robot Wars, but the rules are made up and the seeds don't matter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Bigger Brother follows this up with the most ginned up, pointless vengeance ever against Come and Get Rix.
Honestly, like, what I think happened here was, of course, like, like, of course, like, the, like, a trash talk happened, but, of course, like, it was a lot more jokey, and, of course, like, it wasn't really going to be an actual vengeance battle. Then, of course, like, a second Annihilator happens. They, of course, get, like, two robots dropping out, so, of course, like, the, so, of course, like, the, like, a production were like, okay, crap, we need to, like, find, like, two robots who, of course, like, just because they're gonna go into the arena right now. Then of course I remember what has happened a little while ago, and they're just like, okay, guys, can you just pretend that you're still mad and just go into the arena? Thanks. Just
Yeah,
because like honestly, that's what I think happens.
It's barely a fight because they basically have their own little Hellspot rebellion.
And I mean, to be fair, it is actually better than of course like actual one that we got. Of course, like in Extreme One.
It's also better than any proper fight between these two could have been.
Yeah, because Come and Get Rix is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, Come and Get Rix gets a pretty good shot on, of course, like a kill a lot. Like
no, it flicks its like piddly little axe like a few times, or Bigger Brother's busy like chucking Bash completely.
It makes
over.
a little crunch, you know. Like I mean, it clearly has some effect on like kill a lot. I think they like got in between the little rib cage.
Nah. Come and Get Rix contribute to nothing as ever. Terrible machine.
Yeah. And speaking of impromptu house robot rebellions, that happens in the Flipper Frenzy as well.
Yeah. This one you can definitely tell is filmed after Series 5 though, because their armor, you can already see it's all crumpled. It's still all like crumpled and barely patched together.
Razer was here.
So I guess, of course, like that's why like a Firestorm wasn't in this. Then that actually answers one of the questions.
That's probably why. Yeah.
That would distinctly explain why. Why it would also explain why Wheelie Big Cheese doesn't contribute a whole lot either.
Well, yeah, neither does Bigger Brother. Yeah, Wheelie Big Cheese is very quickly seen off. Bigger Brother and Chaos 2 just kind of die after their initial flurry.
Yeah, they team up. They double team Sergeant Bash, and then Matilda kind of turns the tide on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Thermidor 2, who just basically dinted its flipper tip a bit in the first round. They're fine, so they're the ones who end up putting on all the show.
And then they win, becoming the, of course, like a best flipper in the like a UK.
That's right.
Yeah, that
classic Thermidor.
And now we get to talk about one of the greatest runs in Robot Wars history.
Oh, hell yes.
Series 5, Big Brother is well up there with... I don't even know what to compare. Pussycat Series 4, I guess.
Eruption Series 10.
Yeah. I mean, just...
That's actually a really
top-tier
apt
stuff.
comparison, considering where those journeys ultimately ended up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they show very early on in their fight against Tip Top, one of the more baffling spinners to ever enter Robot Wars. They get them out of the arena in under a minute.
Yep. Tip Top is very, very clearly in the let's copy Hypno-Disc category of robots. Just with a weird method of driving.
Well, they showed early on they could dominate a spinner. Hypno-Disc should have been paying attention.
No, I think no. Tip Top is the fact that it had a spinning weapon is kind of irrelevant to the domination.
But I mean, yeah, of course, like, Bigger Brother goes on an absolute rampage of this heat.
Yeah, its first two fights are both less than a minute. In fact, the first one only takes 24 seconds.
I mean, like, hell, of course. Man. I mean, because like, even if you like, of course, like combine the, of course, like the two fights, they are like, they are like both like still under like a minute. Like they are fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
They have this the upgrades from the previous incarnations of this machine are
It is night and day. It's insane.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if after the Tip Top fight, it's very clear who's going to win this heat because neither seeded machine is up to much. I mean, Splinter, it's just a case of getting them close enough to the wall to throw them out. They
And
certainly were
Splinter's
never
the
going
good
to.
one of the two.
Yeah, but they
more
weren't going.
free
But
sticks,
then they weren't going to put up any resistance to Bigger Brother and 3 stegs out of heaven. Absolutely not.
Sorry, what did you just call it?
3 stegs to heaven.
You said out of.
Yeah, you said.
3 stegs out. 3 steps out of heaven. What have I heard? I don't think that is a thing. I think I've made that one up.
Three, because it's 3 stegs and then the numbered 2 because they are fucking awful at naming robots after the first one.
They really are.
I mean,
Stegosaurus.
the only thing about the 3 stegs fight is if only they'd gotten the third Uter. Imagine that, getting an Uter in all 3 fights in your
Would have
heat.
been
Oh god, yeah. It's like 3 stegs can only put up even half a fight because it's invertible. Like,
I mean, yeah, like, you could tell that, of course, like, they were, like, gonna, of course, like, throw it out. And, of course, like, then I can only assume, like, Ian just, like, gets, like, bored and he just, like, goes off to, like, try and kill Shunt and kill a lot. Like, that sort of thing happens.
Yeah.
so after that, they get drawn against another spinner. That so far out of all 4 of their fights up to this point, all but one of their opponents has had some kind of spinning weapon. In this case,
Yeah, this one's a significantly more formidable spinner than the other 2. It's also a very awkward shape, so Bigger Brother has difficulty getting rid of. Like, they go for an Uter and an S3 just kind of bounces backwards.
So then they go for something else. And I mean, like, they almost pit themselves twice here. I mean, because, like, I knew, of course, like, who was going to win, but, like, I was genuinely getting really worried, just, like, thinking, oh my god, they're going to go in.
Oh, that sets up an upsetting world where we get Bigger Brother versus Razer in the series semi-final, and Chaos 2 gets completely written off by S3.
yeah, that is depressing. Let's move on from that before we think about it anymore.
Good
Yeah,
idea.
so-
So instead, Chaos 2, happily enough, actually fights Bigger Brother. And this is where they start to really make history.
Yep. This is a classic passing of the guard, and it's a classic example of power versus consistency.
Yeah, because Chaos 2 is the stronger flipper in terms of how much of a launch it can get, but it's also far too light for the amount of kick that its flipper has now, and it vents CO2 like a motherfucker.
Yeah, Big Brother gets a few flips early that George has to recover from, and then after the initial onslaught, which Big Brother just pretty patiently handles, they're getting that one flip, and Chaos 2 can not right itself, and they very cleverly just park right behind them, so they couldn't right themselves even if they had the gas.
Yeah, it's an excellent fight.
Very well fought by Ian Watts.
Yeah, I mean, like they had a plan and they stuck to it.
Yeah, and this is what makes it one of my favorite runs of Robot Wars, because it fights all of the big three, and it starts with the fucking reigning champion, and wins. Like, it turns, in a way, it turns Series 5 on its head, because even if you're going into it as somebody who doesn't know all the technical stuff and doesn't realize that Chaos 2 is behind the times, like, Chaos 2, the double champion, getting beaten by what's essentially a rank outsider, because Bigger Brother's unseeded. Like, it just flips the whole head. It's like, it's not the can Chaos 2 retain the crown 3 years running. It's just, fuck, it's all to play for now.
Yeah. And then we get a little fight called Bigger Brother versus Hypno. It's a good fight, I guess.
Yeah, like
it's alright.
You know, it's alright. Yeah, like it's a little quiet fight, you know.
It's only the best fucking fight of all time.
Well.
Well, let's not go that far. We would have to see some kind of list that counts down the top.
Yeah, we'd have to see a countdown.
Yeah, I think there is one, but unfortunately, it's my that likes the Predator. So.
Yeah, Ian Watts has said publicly his strategy was always to break Hypno-Disc's fist on his face, but that doesn't usually work when your skull gets broken open.
Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. This fight, he is playing from the same plan that he used against Mauler in BattleBots. Was it season 2 or 3?
I believe it was 2.
Yeah,
it would have been 2.
Yeah, but yeah.
Season 3 did have this model in, and it lost to Biohazard, which, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, you see, what I find interesting about this fight is, of course, people only really talk about it, and of course, Hypno-Disc wasn't actually able to kill wasn't of course actually able to kill wasn't able to kill Bigger Brother. There we go. However, of course, right or I guess right at the end, but of course in the second half, of course Ian Watts goes right on the offensive. I mean, he is just ramming into Hypno-Disc as much as he can.
Well, yeah, one thing to say about this fight is what basically serves Bigger Brother here is there is a significant gap between their outside shell and their internals, and so since Hypno-Disc can't literally rip the entire shell off like it did Robogeddon or something, that basically, no matter how tattered it is, it's still providing enough protection, and their strategy does work because by the end, Hypno-Disc isn't even spinning anymore.
Yeah, they turn the disc off to conserve power because they are actually getting ground down.
Yeah, and they probably figured, right, well, what more can we do to this thing? We just need to avoid getting KO'd, and oops, they get pushed down the pit.
It's one of the because if this fight goes to the judges, which it's very close to doing, because they're in the dying seconds of this fight by the end, then Hypno-Disc wins. Because
oh, yeah.
No amount of control and aggression is going to give Bigger Brother the win when it looks like fucking that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Twisted sideways and its armor shattered.
Oh
I
my
just think
god,
it's
it's
amazing that it's
Flipper.
still going on a course like the aggressive side, even when it looks like that, even when its weapon is like it's just warped like completely. It's insane.
Its flipper is bent backwards and bent to one side. It's ridiculous when they fire it later on.
Yeah, it's the Captain America straps his broken shield to his arm and faces down a whole fucking army moment, isn't it?
My God, I love that scene. But yes, it is basically that. And of course, then I guess the I like the pisses the I like the portals. So
Yeah.
yes. What's up?
Could you put this fight to that music? Probably not.
I think we'll have to ask Nick at some point because I think that'd be quite fun.
Well, it would. Well, in that version, Captain America then gets on or like stomped on by Galactus or something, because then they fight Razer. And as we just covered in literally the previous episode of the podcast,
can we?
this is a downer of a fight.
Yeah. Can we just talk about the Hypno-Disc fight some more instead?
Well, actually, no, I do have a question. So of course, like Bigger Brother was, of course, like So I guess like Bigger Brother was supposed to be, of course, like on the road to, of course, like take out all of the big three. Of course, like would you want it to actually, like, of course,
No,
would,
I like Razer more than I like Bigger
Bigger Razer.
I like Razer
more
more.
than I like Bigger Brother, so no.
Yeah,
Not ruining their narrative. Bigger Brother can have its nice underdog story.
yeah, like I think it sort of has a very similar narrative to Pussycat in Series 4, which we compared it to at the start of well, earlier. But because it does fight all of the big three like Pussycat did, and it does defeat Hypno-Disc in round one of the grand final in a shocking upset. And then it comes up against the robot that will be champion and loses. But I think unlike that one, where I would take a Pussycat win, I wouldn't sacrifice a Razer victory in Series 5 for anything. So
No.
But
But I mean, even if you are just keeping it an underdog story, it's a hell of an underdog story. I mean, for a robot that was last getting KO'd by Bulldog Breed and entered unseeded to completely dominate its first four opponents, beat the champ, beat Hypno-Disc, and then after being half splintered, still entering and fighting till the bell in the final title fight. That's a hell of a story.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a run.
Yeah, to give a modicum of coverage to this fight, because we didn't really even go into that much detail in the Razer podcast. We just said it was a shit fight. It's not even a shit fight, to be honest. It's just boring compared to the other three in the episode.
Yeah,
it's boring outright.
It's a
Razer doesn't
foregone
even get
conclusion.
No, I think if you stuck this in some other episodes, it would be pretty decent. But
No, Razer just kind of nibbles at him. Doesn't even get a cool, like, sinking right in shot of anything.
yeah, like Razer's clearly not the healthiest at this point as well. But it is still impressive that after everything it's been through, especially from the last round, that it manages to survive Razer. Like, I wonder if if the Razer team just couldn't get a good enough look at where all the vitals were because everybody was clustered around Bigger Brother putting it back together.
Well, what I mean, like, of course, like, if they're doing that, then of course, like, they're like really big, of course, like strategies, of course, to like help them out. So of course, like, you know exactly where the like vital stuff is.
Yeah,
because you just put it there yourself.
They did say,
Probably had a fair bit to fix after that Firestorm fight, like.
I did say that the Razer team they did say that the Razer team did not pitch in with the repairs because they were fixed. They were taking care of Razer and making sure it was ready for the final, and also they probably would have been like, yeah, we probably shouldn't be getting involved with the repairs of the robot that we're about to put more holes in.
That's fair.
You know, that'd be like the yeah, no, you guys can just take care of your own thing. We'll handle this. But yeah, it's a bit of. I wish this fight was better. I don't wish it didn't end on a judge's decision. I just wish it was more exciting.
Yeah, it would have been a bit. Yeah, it would have been a bit sad if Razer just KO. That would have been a bit sad if Razer just got a proper deep bite in and just murdered him.
Yeah, I mean, say if of course, Razor gets a charge to something. I mean, even just that, that would just add a lot to the battle.
Yeah, but as it is, Big Brother gets to go to the judges and lose out.
Yeah, I've said it before on previous podcasts, but when it comes to championship fights, I prefer the ones that end in judges' decisions to the ones that are KOs. Because it just has that. It's just nice to have that tension about having the teams in the arena, who's gonna be the winner, rather than just well, we know who's the winner because the other robot's dead.
But yeah, that covers off the first part of our coverage of Team Big Brother. So we'll do. I won't ask what our favourite Big Brother fight outright is because that's stupid. So instead, we will ask favourite Big Brother performance and then worst fight so far.
Ooh, good ones. In terms of performance, I'm gonna be a basic bitch and say the Series 5 fight with Hypno-Disc, because
I will, yeah.
It's just it's not really showing off as much as it's just. This is how fucking sturdy this robot is. It will not fucking die.
I will go with the Chaos 2 thing. The Chaos 2 fight. Absolute masterclass.
Yeah, true. Fair.
And I will go with Freeze Degs because, of course, as I said, of course, that is what happens when, of course, Ian Watts gets bored because, I mean, he just goes off, flips over Shunt, and then he just goes and messes around with everyone else for about 5 minutes. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Beav feels the pressure to say something different to what we said. And then worst is obviously Tag Team Extreme 1 Round 1.
It has to be.
Yeah. Because that is.
You see, I kind of opinions the same as yours.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, who could disagree with that one?
Yeah, even its weaker performances in Series 3 and 4 don't compare to just how amazingly shit this fight is. It's not even Bigger Brother's fault. Bigger Brother's the best machine there, and by all accounts, it should have gone through. But
I mean, even then, it wasn't that good.
Yeah, it's the only robot that fucking works because it. And, special fuck you points go to Spawn again for turning up with that awful paint job.
That's fair.
Spawn Again's Series 5 through 7 paint job is pretty good. It looks decent. Spawn Again's Extreme 1 paint job.
What is it meant to be?
Horrible purple-red gradient and... Oh, God, it's...
You took Scutter's Revenge and just ran it under the tap.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see that.
It went through a car wash, but instead of water, it was filled with Ribena.
I'm doing the podcast.
But yeah, it's just so bad. Putting it in the arena with 3 robots, 2 of which are infamous for breaking down, one of which is a joke bot, basically. Oh god, it's a fucking atrocity. It's the one definite blot on Bigger Brother's record. Because even its weaker performances in Series 3 and 4, you can see that okay, this is part of the build up to Series 5. This is the humble beginnings almost. You can see the evolution, and then there's just this fucking train wreck in the middle of it.
So yeah, that covers us off for part 1, and join us next time where we will cover from the time in another tag team terror, this time in Nickelodeon, all the way up to the Swarm in Series 10. Until then, farewell, bye-bye.